Us here today. I just want to make sure I've got all these in order. So rather than speak to you about a specific project, I'll just give you a little bit of an overview of Geocon, who we are, what we do, and a little bit more about Canberra, where we're based. We've got our owner joining us this morning. We'll be in booth number 6 and here for the next couple of days. And so hopefully you can come and say hello and learn a little bit more specifically about the different projects and what we do. We're the largest integrated developer in the ACT. Got about 500-600 staff. We do our own building construction. We're the largest hotel operator in Canberra, and to date we've delivered about 3,000 apartments with a very strong pipeline over the next few years, exclusively in Canberra at this stage. You can see there some of our projects, ones that we've delivered in the past, ones that we're working on now. We're moving into the 5-star hotel category now. We've just done our first ever partnership with the Marriott Hotel Group, where we own and operate the hotel, but are part of the Marriott network, building 3 more 5-star hotels in Canberra, one right next to the Parliament House. And we're nearly finished Canberra's largest apartment retail precinct with 2,500 apartments and 5,000 square metres of retail down below. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of what we do. And here are just some examples of some of the developments we're working on. One there right in the middle of the CBD of Canberra. For those that aren't that familiar with where Canberra is, it's a 3-hour drive from Sydney and about a 6-hour drive from Melbourne, and the capital city of Australia. Another CBD project there, and also there. And then out in Belconnen is the project that I mentioned that's the largest that Canberra's had, right next to the University of Canberra. And Canberra being the home to federal government and Parliament, you've got a lot of the large federal government departments in Belconnen, Department of Immigration and Border Protection. So it's a big sort of growth area in Canberra there, on the back of the university as well. We're about halfway through building the tallest residential towers that Canberra's ever had, in comparison to some of the ones that are in Hong Kong and Singapore and even Sydney. Not as big as that, but for Canberra very significant, 26 stories. So it'll be about 50 metres taller than any other residential tower that Canberra has had before. And then we're also building in the outskirts of Canberra. Canberra as a size is about similar equivalent to Singapore, obviously not with the same amount of population, but from the north to the city is about 20 minutes, and same again for the south. So our projects in the city are 2 bed, 2 baths from low 5s, but then out in these areas here you're getting 1 bed, 1 bath for sort of 297,000 Australian, which is quite affordable when you're considering the Sydney prices up the road. Another project there up towards Sydney, in the Gungahlin area, and then some that are in the inner south and inner west. So lots happening and a really strong pipeline. Why we've set up in Canberra and why Canberra's our home and where we're getting a lot of our access, there's a couple of key stats there that I'll mention. Really strong population growth in Canberra. The demographics of Canberra are interesting in the fact that the highest disposable income of anywhere in Australia, off the back of the federal government being quite strong. Education is a key one for where we're seeing a lot of our purchases from particularly this region coming in because their children are studying at the Australian National University or the University of Canberra. Very low unemployment rate. As I said, the disposable income is massive. The vacancy rates, Canberra, unlike Sydney or Melbourne, has a border around it, so there's very little land left available. And our owner, who'll be here with us today, sort of saw that as an opportunity a few years ago, and apartments weren't really done 10 years ago, but because of the lack of land, that's the space that we've gone into. So the vacancy rate's under 1%, and the apartment yields are pushing sort of 6% now across the board. So much so that we offer 7% guaranteed returns on all of our projects. In terms of infrastructure, there's a lot happening with the government doing light rail, and then our airport has now become an international airport, so you've got daily flights to Singapore and Qatar, and there's more coming in that space. So it's an area that is really growing. One of the big advantages we have when we're selling to consumers and retail investors is the fact that the ACT still doesn't have a foreign ownership surcharge. So all the buyers that buy from us in Hong Kong, Singapore, India or wherever, they don't have to pay that additional surcharge like they would in Sydney and Melbourne. It's a big advantage for us. And not only that, the stamp duty is a lot cheaper in compared to other capital cities as well. So you can see from the graph there that you're saving a considerable amount of money on your purchase if you're purchasing in the ACT. Canberra doesn't follow Sydney in terms of the market. We're a very insular market, and we like to call it bulletproof. And you can just see from a few of the stats there, whilst we don't have the huge peaks of capital growth, we also don't have the big drops that Sydney can have. So, last year we were up 3 or 4%, where Sydney was down quite considerably. And you can see from there that it's, whilst we're only 250 kilometres away, our market doesn't follow what they do. This is the CoreLogic data for the from last month, and you can see from there what apartments and houses are doing in those different areas. And Canberra's just very solid and very different to those other main markets. Just reinforcing the fact there that whilst other areas are struggling, it's regarded by CoreLogic and REA as the strongest real estate economy in Australia. Talked about the education. This is growing massively, with Australian National University, the #1 university in Australia, and the University of Canberra really growing rapidly and targeting a lot of international students. Plus there's 3 other major universities in the town as well. A lot of overseas students, 20,000 international students, and that number's on the rise. And then in terms of culture and leisure, lots of opportunities, very close to Sydney, South Coast, light rail. This is the biggest project that Canberra's ever had in terms of infrastructure. Stage 1's just completed, and Stage 2 it has commenced. A lot of our projects, hotels and different developments have been, the sites have been picked based on the rollout of this project. And I talked about the flights, so the direct flights to Singapore and to Doha are making things a lot easier for those of us in the company that have to travel a lot. And the government's working very closely with a few of the Chinese airlines to have those as the next announcement. On our doorstep we've got wineries. We're 2 hours from the coast, 2 hours from the snow. We are a leasehold system. I've got more information on all of this and some more detailed information at our booth, but there's some benefits in buying leasehold property, but it is very different to buying a property in Sydney and Melbourne. So happy to answer some more questions on that. I've got a minute or so to go, so that was really just an overview. We've got lots of different opportunities. As I said, we're a privately owned company, 1 owner, 1 director, Nick Georgialis, who'll be here all for the next 2 days. We're a $1 billion or so business with 600 staff, and happy to have a chat to you about any investment opportunities, some bulk deals. Have a chat to Nick. We can talk to you more about the benefits of investing with us and Canberra, and anything that sparks your interest from that presentation or you'd like to know a little bit more about, just come and see us. We'll be here for the next couple of days. We've got some more detailed handouts and whatnot at our booth. So thanks everyone for your time.